Omaha, Papillion, and across the country via the Schrock desk. This is Compute This.
Good morning, folks, and welcome into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company, where we fix computers, we upgrade them to have super fast solid-state hard drives. That's going on right now over at the shop. We also build websites. We build AI. If it touches a computer, we basically handle it over at Schrock. However, the important number for you to remember this morning is 888-250-2091. That's the call to, or the number to call and join us on the program. Ask a question or make a comment. We will put you in the drawing for a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate, good for anything your heart desires over at the Service Center. All you have to do is call and be a part of the program. I will say, guys, there is no such thing as a silly question. They've told you this in school when you were little, right? If you have a question, chances are lots of other kids in the classroom have the same question you do. It's just they're not as brave as you, so they won't raise their hand. So you are doing a service to your computing community by calling 888-250-2091, asking a question, making a comment, and getting yourself in the mix there. We had a pretty interesting, eventful week over at Schrock this week. Last week, however, on the radio show, if you missed that show, you can always pick up the shows. We simulcast them live. So right now we're live on Facebook, facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. So if you missed the show, you can always go back to Facebook and watch it or listen to it or whatever you have time to do. Also, they're on our website as well at SchrockInnovations.com. We even have an iTunes podcast set up for those of you who have Apple devices. You can actually subscribe to the podcast on the show, and it'll just deliver it to you. It'll let you know when there's a new one available. So it's pretty neat. So last week, if you missed the program, Avast and AVG got caught. Those are the two biggest free antivirus providers in the world. They got caught selling your personal browsing history. Not aggregated data, but Joe Smith goes to the following websites and buys the following items online. They sold that level of precise data about individual people. Supposedly it was anonymized, but anybody with a data brain can look and figure out a way to un-anonymize it. So they got caught selling your stuff. Also, the coronavirus, we explained a little bit about what was going on last week. Now, last week during the Aftershock, I couldn't go into it during the show because, we have to be a little bit careful because right now it's really crazy. Like on social media, if you post anything about this stuff that is not basically towing the media line, you're a conspiracy theorist, and therefore you get censored. So you got to be a little bit careful about what you say and how you say it. And also, we were a little cognizant the information that we had was single sourced, and so we didn't want to put it out over the airwaves, KFAB, KFOR, WHO. We didn't want to have those very newsworthy stations, be airing something that wouldn't pass their own editorial, filters, basically. So we saved that all for the Aftershock. And I'm just saying, it was correct. Okay? So if you want to know what was said, you can go back to the previous Aftershock. All I have to say now is I have dual sources, the second source being the White House asking if the coronavirus was an engineered virus or not. They're asking scientists to look into that and find out if that is in fact the case. So I can report that, and if you want to hear more, you can listen to the Aftershock about it. This is not done by a mile, guys. Anybody who tells you this is contained or this is over, there are going to be some serious disruption to supply chains. Foxconn tried to reopen their factories. Foxconn makes iPhone parts. They make a piece of just about every piece of electronics you might have in your home. And they tried to reopen their plants. This is the ones that had to put the nets around the outside of the building because the employees were jumping off the roof because they work them so hard. They tried to reopen the factory, and China said, no, you cannot reopen the factory. So if this was contained, if this was under control, Foxconn would be reopened. This is not contained. This is not under control. Now my miners that I ordered for February delivery are going to be delivered or delayed until the end of March for our Bitcoin mine over at the shop. So it's having real impacts already, guys, especially in the tight supply chains. We're starting to see shortages now in solid-state hard drives, which is ironic. We're going through a lot of them right now, so we're hoarding. Anytime they're available, we buy like as many as we can get because it's going to get worse next month. So just something to keep in mind and think, if you're going to make a technology purchase, it might be good to make it this month because next month you either might have a delay or it might be a little more expensive. We're starting to see some prices creep up. Right now it's just, $3 and $5. It's kind of like when the price of gas goes up or the price of oil goes up, the gas stations always raise their prices in anticipation because it's going to cost them more to replenish the gas in their underground tanks. But when the price of oil comes down, you never really notice that they don't lower the prices until they've sold through that last, well, we paid a higher price for this tank that's in the ground, we got to recoup that, you know? So there's always a little bit of delay on each end of it, and the same thing applies to pricing on computer parts as well. All right, so coming up today on the program, however, guys, we got some good stuff. So the Iowa caucus, what happened? What happened? We're going to tell you what happened, and we're not going to roast anybody. We're not here to make anybody look bad or feel bad. We're going to tell you the bare facts about what happened, how it happened, how it could have been done differently if they would have followed standard software testing procedures. I'm going to give you if Thor was running it, I mean, guys, I've made software development mistakes. I have pushed my staff to push things out the door as fast as possible because we have a non-coding deadline to meet, and we've had consequences from that. So we've learned from that, and the Democrat Party is going to learn from the consequences of the Iowa caucus as well with their app. You know, whether or not we like it, technology is going to be involved in voting in the future at some point going forward. My guess is it probably just won't be involved in Iowa for quite some time. My guess is they're going to have very, very sharp pencils next go round. But in the meantime, though, let's understand what went wrong, why it went wrong, and what could have been done better. Also, remember how Windows 7 is dead, guys? Literally, going back in time. Guys, as soon as Windows 7 dies, anybody who has a bug or a nasty for it is going to push that out the door as soon as Windows 7 dies. So you might be okay for a week or two, but then things are going to start to get hairy if you stay on Windows 7. Okay, back to the future. Here we are. There's two, not one, but now a second nasty, nasty bug for Windows 7 that is not going to get patched. Apparently, if you have Windows 7 computers, in some cases you can't restart them or shut them down. So yeah, that's not going to get patched. It's going to get patched for people who are paying for patches, of course, but for the general public, they're not going to get patched. So if your computer won't shut down or restart, that would be the reason. Also, we've heard of driver updating, right? Driver updaters. If you have a computer or a laptop, we've always said do not update the drivers. Now I've got a news story for you today that can show you just how dangerous it can be to download quote-unquote the latest driver for your hardware, even if it's not intended for your hardware. It can actually open the door to ransomware attacks now. So it's getting real serious. If you're running some kind of driver updater on your computer, it's best to just uninstall it. Driver updater, driver keeper. Keep in mind, this is not Drive Advisor. That's for your hard drive. That has nothing to do with your computer drivers. They both have the word drive, but they're totally different. It's like that Internet Explorer icon. They're both the blue E, but one of them is bad and one of them is okay. Speaking of the OK Blue E, Microsoft has released the open-sourced version of their Edge browser. It's built on the Chromium technology, the same base as Google Chrome. How's it doing? Is it okay to use Edge? Is it going to be a competitor going forward? Also, we've got your calls here as well coming up on the program, 888-250-2091. All right, so coming up on the program, guys, if we have time to talk in detail about it, we will. I'm not sure that we'll have the time given what we have to go through today, but otherwise it's definite aftershock content. The lovely Kimberly and I made a second trip to Des Moines to look at some additional properties in the Jordan Creek area. We found two properties that we will be writing letters of intent on. So for those of you listening on WHO in Des Moines, it's getting real. It is getting real. We got some letters of intent going out for the 4th Schrock Innovation Service Center to be opened in Des Moines in 2020, so stay tuned for that. Also, as I mentioned at the start of the show, right now we are doing a sale that is literally our most popular computer upgrade sale that we do all year long. This is the solid state upgrade sale. Now, a lot of you took advantage of this last year, and so for some of you, I'm preaching to the choir here. But please stick with me on this one because there's a lot of people who did not do it, and as a result, their computers are running even slower than they were last year, whereas your computers are running, super duper fast. We had a caller last week who said, or a Facebook person who said that their computer wasn't that much faster after the solid state. Yeah, we got it. It's because their solid state was not working properly. So we replaced the drive under warranty, and now it's great. So the thing with solid state hard drives, guys, they're different. They're a different technology than your rotating disk hard drive. So they run different. They have different benefits. They also fail differently than regular hard drives do. So we're going to talk a little bit about that on the program today. But what we're doing at Schrock right now, and I can't really emphasize how rare this is, but for service companies like Schrock Innovations, we make products and service, or we make products, we make software, we do work for people. The main bulk of the revenue that we bring in, the money that we use to keep the lights on and to keep the radio shows going and to keep our people paid, that money comes from the sale of hourly labor, right? So when we have a sale like this one that we're doing in the month of February, where we're installing solid-state hard drives in your computer with no labor cost, we're doing it for the cost of the drive only, that is how much we believe that your computer will benefit from a solid-state hard drive. It gets you in the door over at one of our service centers, so if you've never been in before, that's a gain for us. We get to get your computer up on the bench, go through everything, make sure it's all working well for you. A lot of times customers don't realize, especially when they've never had like a maintenance checkup before, the first time that you have us get in there and work on stuff, and literally, it's like you have real tangled up hair, and you don't really know how beautiful it can be until somebody runs a brush through it. We're going to run a brush. I have a daughter, sorry. We're going to run that brush through your hair. And when we're done, you're going to say, wow, I had no idea this computer could run as beautifully as it's running right now, especially after we do the solid state upgrade on the hard drive. So right now, most computers that have been bought over the last, ever, have a mechanical hard drive. It's a hard drive with spinning disks and moving arms that if you bang on the desk or whatever, if it's a laptop, you can blow up your hard drive or cause it to have problems. When we say, hey, your hard drive has dropped to 99% health or 88% health or 77% health, this is what the rotating disk hard drive has had an issue. It's still rotating, it's still working, but it's had several issues now, and eventually it's going to have more issues and it's going to die, so we need to get it in and replace it. That's how a solid state hard drive works. To give you an idea, let's just call it miles per hour. A regular hard drive, a mechanical hard drive, works at about 4,000, 5,000 miles an hour, okay? A solid-state hard drive, at its slowest speed, runs over 10,000 miles an hour. And when you're doing that's in a straight line. When you're reading, writing in a straight line, most hard drives don't ever read or write in a straight line because your stuff is scattered all around. When you use it's called a random read-write test, they are 10 times faster than a mechanical hard drive. So in a straight line, they're twice as fast, and in a random read-write, which is a real-life test, they're 10 times faster than the hard drive in your computer now, which is great. It's all well and good. Half of you are going to talk to me and say, hey, Thor, I don't need that because my computer's faster than me already. I don't need that. If you're on your computer and you're typing and then the letters have to catch up with you when you type, that's because your computer is too slow. A solid-state hard drive will probably fix that. If you turn your computer on and you can go make a sandwich, drink a cup of coffee, eat the sandwich, come back, and your computer is still almost booted up, a solid-state hard drive will definitely fix that. If your computer has not a lot of memory because, for example, it's a Mac Mini, or it's a really inexpensive laptop where the memory is soldered down to the motherboard and you cannot upgrade it, the only way that you can take that load off the memory is by upgrading to a solid-state hard drive. So here's the thing. What we're doing at Schrock right now is you bring your computer in, we will take your old hard drive out, we'll clone it. We literally make a Xerox copy of your old hard drive onto the solid-state hard drive. So the old mechanical hard drive gets cloned over. It looks no different. It acts no different aside from being a lot faster than your old hard drive. We put the solid-state hard drive into the computer, and all of a sudden your machine, it's like a brand new computer. It'll be faster than it was the day you bought it. So again, these sales don't come around very often because we can't afford to put labor on sale, every day. So if this is something that's of interest to you, if it's something that you would like to have your computer made much faster, you're talking about saving between $110 and $220 here. It'd be 1 to 2 hours of labor for us, depending on how we have to clone things. So yeah, this is a huge, huge, huge opportunity. You can bring your computer into any Schrock Innovations location, or if you're out of town, or maybe you're in Des Moines and you're like, I'd like to do that, but maybe I'll wait till you're a little closer. You can go on our website at SchrockInnovations.com under specials, and you can purchase a certificate to upgrade your computer to a solid-state hard drive. You can buy that certificate, and it will be good later on when it's more convenient, when the timing is better for you. Alrighty. So 888-250-2091. We're going to take our first break in the program here. When we come back, The second post-mortem Windows 7 bug is out. We're going to tell you what's happening, how to work around it, and why you really shouldn't be using Windows 7 anymore. Also, your calls coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations Data Recovery Lab saves the data the other guys can't. The next time your hard drive, camera card, or flash drive fails, let Schrock get your data back. Every person listening to this broadcast has either experienced data loss or knows someone who has. When you think about it, you have a lot more data stored in many more places than you'd like to admit. Have you downloaded those videos from your phone, backed up the pictures on your iPad, or even tackled that sometimes daunting task of backing up your entire computer's hard drive? Most people just don't back up their stuff, and that's why Schrock Innovations has one of the most advanced data recovery centers in the Midwest. Equipped with the latest DDI data imaging devices, state-of-the-art custom recovery software, and Omaha's best data recovery technicians, Schrock Innovations has a 96.8% success rate when recovering data from damaged hard drives, flash drives, camera cards, and more. We all know we should back up our data, but if you are ever caught in a data loss nightmare, call the experts at Schrock Innovations to get your data back right where it belongs, safe and backed up on a stable hard drive. Compute This Pro Tip 843. Of all computer failures, the scariest and most expensive is the hard drive. But there are some steps you can take to save money and save your data before it's too late. Detecting failures early is important, so install a free utility like Drive Advisor from driveadvisor.com to monitor your hard drive's health and receive warnings when there's a problem. But most of all, hard drive failures happen slowly, so early detection is key to reducing the repair bill. Second, if your hard drive makes any unusual noises, immediately turn off your computer and do not turn it on again. These issues are physical problems, and the more you try to use it, the worse the damage becomes. Remember that most computer repair shops do not have the specialized equipment needed to recover data from a failed drive. Never open your drive or allow anyone else to do so. Opened drives always cost more to recover. Schrock does not charge for data recovery evaluations and quotes, so let the local pros look at your drive before you make any recovery decisions. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. We have 3 convenient locations for you to bring those computers in for solid-state upgrades. If you want to, you can come to our Lincoln Service Center. Now, keep in mind, KFOR listeners, we did just move. Well, not just move. We moved 6 or 7 months ago, but for some people, they're still discovering our new location. Some people thought we went out of business. We did not go out of business. We just moved locations just about a mile down the street. So we're 2 blocks south of 14th and Pine Lake Road in Lincoln. In Omaha, we're still at the same place we always have been, across the street from the mall at 168th and Burke Street, right across the street from Best Buy, basically. And also in the Papillion area, we're on 84th and Highway 370 in Midlands Place, right across from Ollie and Hobbs there. So it's a great little restaurant to stop off at for lunch or brunch after you've dropped your computer off. 888-250-2091 are the numbers to join us on the program. As we do every week, we'll be giving away a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate to one lucky listener. You can also watch the show live if you're so inclined to do so at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. While you're on our Facebook page, the lovely Kimberly did an outstanding job making some really awesome dessert boards and charcuterie boards. That's a cheese board. For the company party. We had our Christmas party yesterday. We closed at 6, so we had our company. Everyone's like, a little late for a Christmas party, Thor. Well, you know, when you're building holiday computers and you're building them as fast as you can, you don't really have time to stop and take a Christmas party. So we're finally, like, we could say we love Christmas, and now it's like a Thanksgiving Christmas thing. I don't know. But no, we threw axes at Flying Timber, downtown Omaha, and it was just a lot of fun. Like, everybody throwing axes. Some people did better than others. You know, Thor. Come on, I'm Thor. I'm like supposed to be able to throw axes and do Viking things, right? So the first round, I bested them all, and that was the warm-up round. But after that, you see, I'm not as young as I used to be. I'm good for one battle, okay? And then after that, the second round, I was edged slightly by young Eli from the Lincoln Service Center, who was a machine. Like, and he wore this yellow check kind of it was a joke thing on the invite, like wear your flannel, and we actually had some people go out and buy flannel. So Kim was like, wow, how could they bought flannel? And so he was wearing this yellow check flannel, and with his skin tone and everything, like, and the way the lighting was in there, like we got some pictures of him, and the dude looks like a psycho. Like he looks like he looks like, you wouldn't want to meet him if he was in an alley holding a hatchet. He's coming for you. But it was kind of, but then maybe I'm calling him names because he beat me, but I'm not that petty. All right, so we warn people who are using Windows 7, if you continue to use Windows 7, you're going to continue to have bugs and problems that are going to pop up or surface as time goes on. Some of them will be feature related, like this one is. Some of them will be security related. So the latest Windows 7 bug is preventing users from shutting down their computers or rebooting them. So if you have Windows 7 and you click on Start and you go to Shut Down or Restart, the computer pops up with a message that tells you don't have permission to shut down the computer. Windows 7 users have been reporting that they are receiving the pop-up message that reads you don't have permission to shut down the computer every time they try to do it. Because the bug remains, the cause of the bug is unknown at this time. No one has done any research on it because Microsoft's not going to do it. So somebody else has to do it, and then there's never going to be a fix for it. So for the past 2 days, users have been scratching their heads for solutions to the problem. There's workarounds that you can do to get it to not do that anymore. But the reason people are scratching their heads is what changed in the administrative privileges of the computer that I no longer, as the administrator of my computer, have permission to reboot it. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this is probably a the consequence of some poorly designed security software, not security software. Basically, someone's trying to hack your computers, and they didn't do a good job. They made a mistake with their attack. They're probably exploiting a known Windows 7 bug, and when they exploited it, they did so improperly. They're called script kiddies when they don't know what they're doing. They know enough to be dangerous, to tweak some code and change some things, but not enough to really do any significant damage. So this could be a test attack to see if they did this, how fast and how far it could spread. It could be the consequence of poor coding. It was an attack that was supposed to do something far nastier, but was coded improperly, so it's only causing this weird side effect. Or maybe there's a really, really serious security thing going on with Windows 7 and no one's figured it out yet. So if you have Windows 7 and you have this problem, what you can do is create a new administrative account, because you're no longer administrator apparently, but you're kind of an administrator because you can create a new administrator account. So, so you log into that account, log back into your default admin account, and then you can reboot normally. That's weird. A more permanent way you have to do that every time, by the way. Every single time you want to shut down the computer. You'll have a lot of accounts eventually, unless you go back and delete them. A more permanent way to fix the bug has been put forward by several users on Reddit. That is a 7-step process that I am not going to bore you with at this point. If you want it, you can Google it. You shouldn't have any trouble Googling it because it's not like you can turn your computer off anyway. So really, guys, if you're still using Windows 7, I know Windows 7 was super popular. I know that lots of people use it because they love it. It makes sense to them. Some people continue to use older operating systems because they have loved ones who are advanced in age, and making a jump to a new operating system can be really difficult from a cognitive perspective. Windows 10 looks and feels and acts almost exactly the same as Windows 7. There's some subtle visual differences in the start menu. Instead of computer or instead of my computer and stuff like that, they've changed the words up a little bit. It's this PC, but it's all the same gist of everything. So you install a program, it puts an icon on the desktop. You want to run the program, you click the icon. So it's not, my dad can do it. I switched my dad from Windows 7 to Windows 10 years ago. He didn't even know he got switched. So, that's how good it is, right? My dad, the only thing he was concerned about, my son the other day comes upstairs and he says, yeah, I was on the Xbox down there, I was sweating hard. That's what kids say when they're playing a lot of video games and working to achieve a goal in their video game. And he's like doing blah, blah, blah. He says, because I'm a gamer. And my wife looks at him and she says, that's not a thing. Like, I'm a gamer. That's not a thing. Like, you can't give yourself that title, right? And so I'm like, so then she tells me about this story, and I'm like, well, you should tell him next time you see him that, Grandpa, he's sweating hard. He's a Scrabbler. He's a risker. Plays that risk game a lot. He's a Scrabbler. He plays Scrabble all the time. So yeah, you could, if being a gamer is a thing, this opens the door to many new job titles, So 888-250-2091. So one of the things that we talk about with your computers, guys, if you're running Windows 7, you got to get off Windows 7. If you're running XP or Vista and you're connected to the internet, you really need to get off those. Windows 8, you've got a little bit of time yet. You got a year and a half, 18, 19 months, somewhere in there to get off of that. So it's not pressing, but Windows 8 was a really poor operating system, so not a lot of people wanted to stay with it. But one of the challenges that people have when they're dealing with computer security, having an operating system that is current is part of it. It's a big part of it, because the security updates, you have no idea how much is happening behind the scenes to keep you safe when you have a current operating system. The other thing, though, is a lot of people, they don't update their operating system. They also don't update their third-party software. We all have programs on our computer. So you have Java, you have Flash, you have Adobe Reader, you might have Dropbox. Almost every computer comes with Dropbox now if you get it from the box store. Like literally it comes with Dropbox. You'll have Skype. There's all these programs on your computer that you may use some of them, you may not use them at all, but they're still installed and they're still there. And if these programs, they become out of date, it creates a way for hackers and bad guys to get into your computer. These companies don't make updates because it's fun or they want to do it. They make updates because they have to keep the bad guys out of the computer and make sure that their products are considered safe to use. So what you need to do as a computer user is you need to make sure that you keep your computer current. The easiest way to do that is with a program like Secure Updater. Secure Updater is made by Schrock Innovations, and it keeps all of your third-party software up to date. We have some new behind-the-scenes magic going on right now where the updates are happening faster than ever. Secure Updater's download speed is faster than ever. The overall experience using Secure Updater is way better. We're starting to generate some reports now. One of the reports that I have generated every month for me is I have Alfonso generate a report of all of the Secure Updater users who have not scanned their computer in the last 30 days. And so what does that mean? If you haven't scanned your computer in 30 days, it could mean, number one, you're on vacation and you just haven't turned your computer on. That's legit. Number two, you got rid of your computer. You didn't think that you should tell, Uncle Thor that you got rid of your computer so that we can make sure important subscriptions you might have had, like antivirus or Secure Updater, get transferred free of charge, by the way, to your new computer. So if you get a new computer, we can move that stuff to your new computer. It's important we do that. It could be that your Secure Updater is not functioning properly. If you have an issue with it and it's not running right, we need to let you know so we can get it fixed. So every month he generates this list for me of people who haven't scanned their computer in an appropriate amount of time, and we're going to be reaching out and contacting you to let you know that the computer is not working right. It will be a robocall. So if you get the robocall, it is legit, but it means you need to take a look at your Secure Updater. 888-250-2091. Secure Updater, by the way, is less than right around $2 a month to run. It keeps you safe for a very, very low price. It works with whatever antivirus software that you use on your computer. All right, it's halftime. Got to take our break here at the bottom of the hour. When we come back, the Iowa caucus flop. What happened? Why did it happen? And what could they have done differently to prevent this from happening? Anyone who's going to work on any software going forward, this is a case study in how not to launch a piece of software. We're going to tell you what happened coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations repair technicians also make house calls. Make an appointment and let us bring our award-winning computer support right to your home or business.
Welcome to Schrock Innovations. How can I help you today?
I'm having a problem with my computer.
You're at the right place. We fix problems with computers.
That's why I'm here.
What seems to be the problem with your computer?
When I press the power button, it doesn't boot up. How fast can you fix it?
We're the fastest computer fixer in Omaha. We'll fix it fast.
How fast?
Real fast. Do you have it plugged in when you turn it on?
Of course it was plugged in. Do people make that mistake a lot?
You'd be surprised. When you press the power button, what happens?
It roars, then stops and sits.
Ooh, like a lion?
Like a what? Well, I suppose.
Sounds like a bad power supply, sir.
Is that bad?
It's not good, but we can fix it fast.
How fast?
How's that for fast?
Does it work?
Yes, sir. More purring, less roaring now.
Wow, that was fast.
Schrock Innovations is the fastest computer repair in Omaha, sir.
That's great, but all this talking is making me hungry. You guys sell sandwiches?
We do fast computer repair. If you want a fast sandwich, you have to go someplace else. Why would we sell sandwiches?
I don't know. All this fast talking is strangely familiar.
Schrock Innovations. If you want a fast sandwich, don't go there. But if you want your computer fixed and back on your desk fast, give them a call or visit their website at SchrockInnovations.com. Compute This Pro Tip 578. Technology is constantly changing, so how can you tell when the time has come to recycle your old outdated computer and invest in a new one? Experts have rules of thumb and formulas, but Schrock believes the answer is simple. You should replace your old computer when it can no longer do the things you need in a secure way. For example, you should not be using operating systems like Windows XP or Vista because they're no longer maintained by Microsoft and they're not secure. And if your computer cannot run Windows 10, it's probably time to begin saving for a replacement. If your existing computer requires a repair and that cost is 50% or more of the cost of a new computer, it might be time to consider a replacement. But keep in mind, additional costs like data transfers and important software you have to upgrade like genealogy software or Quicken. And also keep in mind that modern computers are engineered to last 18 months for a normal user. And don't worry, you are considered a normal user. Schrock modular PCs and solid-state laptops are specifically designed to last 4 to 6 years for that same normal user, saving your family money and time. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. A possible insider attack in Afghanistan leaves 2 American soldiers dead and 6 wounded.
U.S. Special Operations Forces had just wrapped up what's known as a key leader engagement meeting with village elders, tribal leaders in eastern Afghanistan. They had just left the meeting in the district center when this person approached wearing an Afghan uniform but not part of the patrol, opened fire on this joint U.S.-Afghan patrol.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. 6 American troops have been killed in Afghanistan this year. 2 days before the New Hampshire primary, the latest poll shows a flip-flop up top.
Now take a look at the latest Boston Globe Suffolk University poll. Sanders back on top, 24%. Buttigieg has dropped 3 points to 22%, but still very close within the margin of error. Warren at 13 and Biden at 10.
Fox's Griff Jenkins. America is listening to Fox News.
Now, the News Radio 1110 KFAB Weather Watch.
We'll be staying in the 30s for a good chunk of the day today. Temperatures drop down to the upper 20s by early this evening. Those winds staying gusty with gusts up to about 40 miles per hour in the Omaha metro. Winds do die down tonight with overnight lows in the upper teens. Highs on Monday in the lower 40s. With Omaha's most accurate forecast, I'm 6 News First Alert meteorologist Mallory Schnell.
Alrighty, folks, halftime is over. I hope you all got your refreshments, got your potty breaks in, because we got another half hour to go here on Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock, and I own the Schrock Innovations Computer Company, where we have 3 locations to help you out when your computer has problems, when you need a website built, when you need people to come to your website. If you have a business and no one's coming to your website's not doing you any good. You invested a bunch of money in a website. Let somebody who knows how to bring business to your site through social media, through content, through organic search engine placement, and even paid placement, help you figure all that out. You're doing your business. You're doing what you do. Let us do what we do. We spend a ridiculous amount of money on having the best people. As you can see from Schrock Innovations, our search engine placement is good. Our social media presence is good. Our graphics are over the top, both inside the service center, outside the service center. Our printed materials are Dell level. That's not an accident. Those are all systems that we built. Everybody said, where did this cloud thing come from? How did the cloud come about? Who decided to sit down and build the cloud? I'm going to build a bunch of computer infrastructure stuff, and then people are going to rent it from me. How did that come about? It came about because companies like Microsoft or Amazon or Google needed to have that level of computing power for their own internal needs. And then after they created it for their internal needs and they perfected it, they were able to scale it up and sell access to other people. Our SEO and our web marketing, it's very similar. We have created all kinds of systems to help us promote Schrock Innovations and Schrock Interactive as businesses. And now as we have grown and matured in those areas, we've learned a lot. And we can take these lessons. There are some specific things you should be doing with your search engine stuff on your website that 6 months ago I would have recommended you do not do. Google changed the rules. And when Google changes the rules, they usually give you a 6-month lead time. You better listen. So if you're rocking at the top of the search results right now and your business is doing great, heads up, 6 months from now, you could be completely out of the results. And you'll be sitting here wondering what happened. You'll be desperately calling companies to help you, not realizing that everybody else that was paying attention is 6 months ahead of you already. So make sure if there's anything technology related, Schrock Innovations and Schrock Interactive can help you out with it. Whether you're a business, whether you're a consumer, we're happy to do whatever we can do to make your technology work for you. 888-250-2091. Dan, welcome to the program. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Good morning, Thor. Yes, I called you in December and asked you how long should a router last with a computer. And you said every 5 years, and I said, I better get one. So
Okay.
last week, I went into your Papillion store, and Nikki helped me buy a brand new TP-Link router.
Mm-hmm.
And I was all set to install it yesterday when I said, hey, there's no cable connection to this router. When did they separate the modem from the router? Or have they always separated them?
Well, the modem, do you have Cox for your internet?
Yes.
Okay, so when you're a residential customer with Cox, you can get a modem by itself, but more increasingly now, all the cable companies are combining a modem and Wi-Fi device together. The advantage to that, obviously, is you don't have to buy and maintain your own device. The disadvantage is you don't have the capability to update, upgrade, or replace your device when you want to. Literally, until it is a burning cinder in the dirt, is when Cox will replace it for you. So if you have your own wireless router, you can actually turn off the wireless router that's built into your cable modem and use the wireless router instead. That's what I do at my house. That's what I recommend. Actually, have your own wireless router so you can control the environment and make sure it's safe and secure.
But you have a separate modem.
Oh, yes. That's how it always has been for years going back. And then just in the last couple years, Cox started unifying all the devices together, and so has everybody else. Windstream, everybody else. That's one of the biggest jokes out there. It's like, so how do you connect to the internet? Windstream. Do you have one box or two boxes? And they're like, one box. And we're like, oh, okay, this is going to take a while.
I looked at the old one and I said, okay, now where do I throw the cable connection? And I said, uh-oh, there is none.
Right, yeah, you have to, your cable...
Where can I don't want to rent one. I want to buy one. Where can I buy one? Can you sell me one?
Well, yeah, so what you're talking about is your cable modem at this point. So you've got your wireless router. The cable modem is the box. The cable modem, you don't have to replace that until it stops working. So
I don't have one.
I thought you have your internet through Cox.
I do, but I didn't buy it. When I first bought a computer set up 12 years ago, I bought a modem router.
Gotcha. So right now, when you came in and bought the TP-Link router from us, was your internet working?
Yes, the system. I'm just trying to upgrade.
Right. So what we want to do here is you take the existing modem that you have, that you already bought, that you've already paid for.
I haven't bought it yet. That's what I'm saying.
So you're renting it from Cox right now.
I'm not using a modem.
So I guess where I'm going with this...
My cable connection goes into my wireless modem router. I forgot the name of it.
Right. So,
but I just bought a new TP-Link from Nikki. Took good care of me, and I got one of the last ones off the shelf.
Okay, so you've got right now. You have coaxial cable. That's the round cable, like with the twisty end on it, coming in from the wall, and that goes into some box for your internet. That is your cable modem. That box is your cable modem. It could also be a wireless router.
It's my cable modem router.
Right. So that device is not going away. So you're going to you have your coaxial cable into that box, and then out of the back of that box, a wire comes out. And that wire goes into the port, the WAN port on that TP-Link router.
Okay. So let me just ask it very specifically.
Sure.
Do you sell modems?
We do not.
Okay.
Yep. So modems any box store will carry them because you have to get you get different modems based on the speed of internet that you're paying for from Cox. So like I have gigabit at home, so I have to pay for a more expensive modem than somebody who does not have gigabit. So it depends on what level of service you have with Cox to get what modem you need. But realistically, you don't have to replace your modem unless your modem isn't working right. Your modem is just the gateway that gets the internet into your house. Once it's in your house, that TP-Link router is going to take it and split it and manage it and send it where it needs to go. So you did everything right there with the TP-Link, but you don't want to get rid of that modem. Now, if you're currently renting the modem from Cox, they charge like $5, $10 a month, something like that for the modem. You know, a new modem for an average user costs about $100. So in a year, you're break even on your modem typically. And they last usually 2 or 3 years before they blow up and die on you. Thank you very much for the call, Dan. I appreciate it. Sorry for the confusion there. I was like, I don't understand what you're saying. I thought you had a modem, but then you don't. I'm not sure. All right, so the Iowa caucus, what exactly happened here? So this time around with the caucus, the big thing is they wanted to create an app. And the app, and I'm not going to get into the politics of who built the app or who they worked for or who got the money or how much money there was. Basically, this app, there are some numbers that are important in the amounts of the money, though, because this just goes to show you. So this is an app that was supposed to basically, it's a primary. Right? That's what the caucus is, basically, a primary. So this is a significant operation. This is not something that you typically would want to do on the cheap. You're going to want to do this with somebody who has experience doing this kind of work and also knows that it's going to cost a little bit of money. So the entire Shadow app, which is what the app was for, which is a weird name for it's a democratic voting app and you're going to call it Shadow, like in the shadows. Why don't you just call it like smoke-filled room? You know, I mean, it's like, why would you do that? But so $63,000 was paid by the Iowa Democrat Party to have that app developed. The Nevada Democratic Party also paid $58,000. So basically, there's about $120,000 for one piece of software that is going to power the caucuses of 2 states. That is ridiculously cheap, like almost too good to be true cheap. Now, if we're building an app for, Joe's tractor repair down the street, yeah, we can build that app for $5,000 or $8,000 pretty easily. It's not a high-risk app. It's not like, if we don't build the app right, people's tractors aren't going to start. We can cut some corners. We can hire some people who aren't exactly top-level talent, but get the job done, and then we can make sure we have one person with top-level talent rounding out the team to make sure that everything else is happening the way it's supposed to. That's how you can do it pretty efficiently. That's how this was built, is what it looks like. And as a result, there was all kinds of problems. But the biggest problem is it wasn't tested. So on one hand, the federal government offered to test the app. The Democrat Party, knowing that the federal government is run by the Trump administration, said, no, you will not test our app. You can go away. So they did. They were like, okay, we offered to do it. And so then they went away. But if I was going to build this app, I would have done it. The Iowa straw poll would have been a great time to launch this app. So the straw poll it would be a good test run. If you screw up the straw poll, yeah, it's a black eye, but you're not screwing up the entire Democrat nominating process. It's a straw poll. It doesn't really matter. So use it for the straw poll. You needed to have a wide field of testing because basically what happened is the app on people's phones didn't install properly. They didn't test it on enough different devices. They didn't understand that people in the Midwest are a little more frugal than people on the coast. They're going to keep their smartphones and their computers a little bit longer because they take good care of their stuff and they upgrade their computers to solid-state hard drives and things like that. Things last longer when you take care of them. So when you have a flip phone, you can't install the app. Oops. Or when you have a first-gen iPhone, you can't necessarily install the app. Oops. Well, that's no good. So people had trouble installing the app, first of all. The second thing is to test the app. If you wanted to be a tester for this app, you couldn't install it from the App Store. You had to install it from like some shadowy third-party test app place that normal people don't go to. If you're going to test an app designed for normal people, you need to test the entire installation process that normal people are going to use. You can't have a separate test that's only for super smart technical people and then wonder why normal people that don't have that level of technical experience are having issues running the app. I mean, come on, that's silly. The last thing is when the app itself, when it was installed, when you got through all those hurdles, the app ran fine. The problem was the transmission of the data from the app to the human beings in the Democrat Party. The mechanism by which, and they don't go into the details of how it was done, but basically the results that the app tabulated were transmitted over to the Democrat Party for verification, and that transmission failed for some reason, or was garbled or didn't work right. So what this comes down to, guys, is testing. All you have to do with a piece of software is test it properly. And test it in a way that other people, regular, normal people, can test it. And when you do that, you're going to find, when I work with software developers continuously, it's literally, I'm like, that right there, why is that button an option to click on right there? That button shouldn't do anything right now. Well, don't worry, Thor, if you click on it, it won't do anything. I'm telling you, if it's not grayed out, my customers are going to click on it, and they're going to call me because they don't know why they're clicking on the button and it's not doing anything. Well, why would anyone do that, Thor? It doesn't matter why they would do it. You got to code for that. You've got to code for that. You have to guide people through it. It has to be stupid magic simple. And when things are stupid magic simple, they just work. This did not work because it was way not simple. And it was not simple. All right, so 888-250-2091. Got to take a break, guys. When we come back, do not update your drivers unless you have a really specific reason to do it, please. And we're going to tell you what's happening to people who are installing a gigabyte driver on their computer. It could be opening up your computer to attacks. Don't update your drivers unless you have to do it. That and more coming up next on Compute This.
Update all of your third-party apps on your computer with Secure Updater. It keeps all your apps running smoothly and helps block viruses. Download it for free today at secureupdater.com. External hard drives are handy. You can back up multiple computers to them or even use them to move lots of data from one computer to another. Computer users have been buying the same old external hard drives for years. While our computers have been getting faster, we still do backups that take hours or watch epic progress bars creep by to move files. Schrock wanted more for our customers, so our innovators created the fastest external hard drives on the planet. Schrock modular storage devices are up to 50% faster than Seagate or Western Digital externals and are modular in the truest sense of the word. We can create whatever size and speed of drive you need for all of your needs, and all modular storage devices come with a data restoration guarantee. If you use our drives for backing up and your computer's hard drive fails, we'll restore your backup to your repaired computer for free. Fast, simple, and flexible technology solutions from Schrock Innovations. It's what we do. Compute This Pro Tip 178. Those little life-saving surge protector strips are vital to your computer's health and should be used whenever possible, even for laptops. As computers get smaller and more powerful, they're also becoming more sensitive to dirty power, and your power is a lot dirtier than you might think. Even if you have a whole home surge protection, most power surges are generated within your own home. If you've ever vacuumed and seen the lights get dimmer and brighter, you created a surge. Surge protectors can only absorb so much energy measured in joules. When that capacity is exhausted, your surge protector becomes a glorified extension cord and needs to be replaced. You should always look for surge protectors that give audible alerts when they're no longer able to protect your equipment. Schrock recommends these because the lights on most strips are just power lights and they don't tell you when it's time to replace the unit. If in doubt, replace your surge protectors annually to keep your expensive TVs, computers, and other electronic equipment safe. This pro tip is brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back in. Final segment of Compute This, and we have a lot to get through. For those of you who weren't with us at the start of the program, keep in mind we do have our solid-state special going on at Schrock Innovations right now. Solid-state hard drives, I mentioned early in the program that they work different. They're different technology than the older mechanical hard drive that you have in your computer right now. That's why when we upgrade you to a solid-state hard drive, and we're doing them for no labor right now, it's just the cost of the hardware. We very, very rarely put labor on sale. This is one of those times. It's that important of an upgrade. When you take your hard drive and you go from that mechanical to the solid state, your computer is going to be 10 times faster. But one of the things that we've noticed now that we've been putting solid state hard drives, we've been building our computers with solid state hard drives in them for years. We've been upgrading lots of people who maybe didn't have Schrock computers to solid state hard drives now for over a year. And everyone is thrilled with the results. But once in a while, one of the solid-state hard drives, they fail differently when they go bad, and they do go bad. This is not a wonder tech that never fails, okay? Every piece of technology can fail. And the way that these things fail is, in the past, what we've always described as solid-state drives are binary. They either work or they don't. It's not like a mechanical hard drive that has an issue or a problem and it logs that problem and then lowers the health status of the drive so that you can kind of predict when the drive is going bad. Solid-state hard drives will do that too, but usually you see it as a decrease in the capacity. If this capacity of the drive starts to shrink, that means the drive is going bad, and then Drive Advisor will flag it and let you know it's bad. Well, there is another way that a solid-state hard drive can fail. Now, the stuff that makes the hard drive fast, there's memory chips and there's a controller chip. That controller chip has all the instructions that the hard drive uses to make it go, to make it store data and retrieve data and everything like that. And so that chip has programming called firmware. And that's the instructions. That's how the hard drive knows to work. It's the DNA of the hard drive. If that firmware becomes corrupt for some reason, if it stops working, there is backup firmware to help you keep the drive going, but it works at a much reduced speed. And so some of the things that we've seen recently is customers coming in for maintenance checkups and they're complaining of a slow computer, and we're like, oh, let's put you into a solid state. We crack it open and we see they already have a solid state. And we're like, this computer should not be running this slow with a solid state. So we do a surface test on the solid state, which is something you should not do, because surface tests, we don't do them in the shop typically because they wear and tear the hard drive. It's like, let's test the transmission by throwing it into reverse, flooring it, and then before the car completely stops, shifting it into drive and flooring it again, because that'll be a great test just to make sure those gears are extra grippy. You don't do that to a car. You don't do that. Solid state hard drives, you don't surface test them. You just don't do that. But we are speed testing them now because we're noticing on maintenance checkups, especially drives that are over a year old, they tend to slow down over time. We knew that, but some of them have slowed down dramatically. Earlier, I talked about miles per hour, how a mechanical hard drive is 4,000, 5,000 miles an hour. A solid-state hard drive cruises along at 10,000 miles an hour. But a solid-state hard drive suffering from speed problems can run at 200 miles an hour instead of 4,000 or 5,000. So it can actually be slower than a mechanical drive if they're failing, which is why it's important, and I will reiterate this again, if you have a computer that is under warranty, if you have a Schrock-built computer, and you should be under warranty. With our extended warranty program, there is no reason you shouldn't be under warranty. You need to come in for your maintenance checkups. You got to come in every 6 months, once a year at least, but every 6 months is recommended, so that we can test that hard drive and make sure while you're under warranty, if it's bad, we can replace it for you and it won't cost you anything. And if we catch these things early, that's great. Now, right now, Drive Advisor doesn't test the speed of the hard drive. As I've mentioned, testing the speed of the hard drive is an intrusive process. It will wear and tear the hard drive. We don't want to do it every day. Hence, Drive Advisor doesn't do that. So you're not going to see Drive Advisor dropping the health status of your drive if you have a solid state because it's slow. It's going to say your drive is working perfectly. May not be working as fast as you would like, but it's working perfectly. At the shop, we're going to say the whole reason you got the solid state is to make your computer faster. So if we see one running slow, we're going to recommend a replacement, and hopefully under warranty we could just do it and have it replaced, and there's no fuss, no muss. Everything works great. So keep that in mind. But the solid state sale is going on right now at Schrock Innovations. They fail actually less often than mechanical hard drives do, by a lot, 6 times fewer failures than a mechanical hard drive, 10 times faster performance than a mechanical hard drive. So they're more reliable, they're faster. They're just they're what all new computers are coming with now. So when you get these updates, everyone's assuming you have this solid state hard drive. Speaking of updates, a lot of you ask me from time to time, should I update my drivers on my computer? And so what these programs, these driver programs do, you install them from the internet and they look at your computer and they look at all the chipsets in your computer and they look at all the drivers that you're running on your computer. And it's like crowdsourcing drivers. It uploads all these drivers to the internet from your computer and says these drivers are dated this and therefore this chipset. And so you have an HP and I have a modular computer. We could have completely different drivers for the same exact chipset because the manufacturer of the components inside has said don't use a driver other than this one because it'll break it. And so all kinds of problems happen with driver updaters. But the most recent thing we're seeing now is there is a particular gigabyte driver. And you won't even know if you have a gigabyte chip in your board or not. But there's a gigabyte driver that, if installed on your motherboard, it can be exploited. Opens a back door, basically, to allow hackers to infect your computer with ransomware. So just another one, guys, don't mess with your drivers unless there's a real specific reason to do that. All right, so stay tuned, guys. We've got the Aftershock coming up. For those of you who aren't familiar with the program, if you're just joining us for the first time, the Aftershock is a show that we do after this show. It's only available on Facebook, and you can watch it on facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. That show is going to air. It's going to be a little bit shorter than normal. A little bit shorter today just because I've got some time constraints after the program this morning, but we're still going to get one for you. We're going to bring you the latest on the single-sourced information on the coronavirus. We're going to give you the details on axe throwing. If you want to see some of the pictures from the axe throwing Christmas party we had, you can check those out on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. We've been approached by the Omaha Beef to sponsor their team, and it would be like, I don't want to call it a skybox because you think of like Memorial Stadium with a skybox, but I mean that's what it's a private box basically. But we would have 24 tickets per game, and I mean that's a lot of tickets, guys. I mean I've got like 15, 16 employees total, and so if they all plus one, I could cover a game. But there's 7 home games, right? So that's a lot of tickets to have, and I don't want to buy all these tickets and have them go to waste, right? So if we're going to get a booth, I want to pack the booth. So I have questions about that to talk with you guys about, and also all the details. If you're listening on WHO in Des Moines, do stay tuned for the aftershock because we're going to be talking about the details of what spaces we looked at, where we looked at them, and maybe what we're going to write a couple letters of intent on. So if you're a real estate developer that showed us a space and you want some inside information on what we're thinking, you might want to listen to the aftershock as well. Alrighty, guys. So to wrap up the program today, we have the solid state hard drives on special at Schrock Innovations right now, going through the end of the month. It's definitely an upgrade that I recommend you get if you do not have a solid state on your computer already. Also, we did a lot of talking today about Facebook. Facebook.com/Schrock Innovations. You can watch the aftershock. You can watch the show. All these different things. One of the things that is incredibly helpful is if you would like Schrock Innovations, if you follow us, you'll get updates when we are live. You'll have it pop up in your feed. Also, if you could share the show. Sharing it with other people allows us to expand outside of our normal listenership. One of the challenges that we face in media is it's so fragmented that you could drop money on all kinds of, you could drop money on radio, you could drop money on Facebook, you can drop money on Google, you can drop money on TV, you can drop money on newspaper. You literally, there's so many, and you still will miss half the people if you spend money in all those spaces, because some people are just listening to podcasts or they're just listening to XM radio, for example. So sharing the show on Facebook is one way to help us expand outside of our normal listenership and provide new people help that have never heard of the show before. This is especially important for my Des Moines listeners. We need to make a ginormous splash when we jump into Des Moines. So we want to make sure that that everyone in Des Moines, that the guy showing us our property listens to our show. I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like the guy that showed us one of the properties we looked at is a Schrock listener already. Like that. He also, but then he asked me a question and he said, well, that one thing you were talking about, that one camera thing, and I'm like, I think you're talking about Kim Commando. And he's like, oh yeah, sorry. She does a good show too. All right, today's winner, only caller of the show, so he's a shoo-in. Dan, it was quiet phone day today. You got yourself a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. Addie will get that to you on Monday. Stay tuned for the aftershock, and we'll see you again next weekend for another edition of Compute This.
Fueled by Hy-Vee, home of hot deals and hundreds of price declines.